Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name's Amy. I'm an ordained minister, and we are in Bible study. And it's one of those, well, it's going to be a couple of those chapters of the Bible where it gets a little awkward. But there's also not really anything you can do about that. So, we are in the Niv. And we are in the book of Joshua. We are in chapter 5. Circumcision at Gilgal. Now, when all the Amorite kings west of the Jordan and all the Canaanite kings along the coast heard how the Lord had dried up the Jordan before the Israelites until we had crossed over, their hearts melted, and they no longer had the courage to face the Israelites. At that time, the Lord said to Joshua, "Make flint knives and circumcise the Israelites again." So Joshua made flint knives and circumcised the Israelites at Gibeath Haraloth. So Gibeath, Gibeath, and the other one, Haaraloth. Totally could be mispronouncing either one of those. Gibeath Haraloth. Translates from Hebrew into English to mean hill of foreskins. So, all right. Now, this is why he did so. All those who came out of Egypt, all the men of the military age, died in the desert on the way after leaving Egypt. All the people that had come out had been circumcised, but all the people born in the desert during the journey from Egypt had not. The Israelites had moved about in the desert 40 years until all the men who were in the of military age that had left Egypt had died, since they had not obeyed the Lord. For the Lord had sworn to them that they would not see the land he had solemnly promised their fathers to give us, a land flowing with milk and honey. That's right, because there's only Caleb and Joshua that got to, enter this land of all that time they had lived before. So he raised up their sons in their place, and these were the ones Joshua circumcised. They were still uncircumcised because they had not been circumcised on the way. And after the whole nation had been circumcised, they remained where they had been camped until they healed. And I bet they were, because they're grown men. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Today I have rolled away the reproach of Egypt from you." So this place has been called Gilgal to this day. On the evening of the 14th day of this month, while camped at Gilgal on the plains of Jericho, the Israelites celebrated the Passover. The day after the Passover, that very day, they ate some produce of the land, unleavened bread and roasted grain. The manna stopped the day after, or the day, okay, they ate this food from the land. There was no longer any manna for the Israelites, but that year they ate of the produce of Canaan. Okay, the fall of Jericho. Now, when Joshua was near Jericho, he looked up and saw a man standing in front of him with a drawn sword in his hand. Joshua went up to him and asked, "Are you for us or for our enemies?" "Neither," he replied, "but as commander of the army of the Lord, I have now come." When Joshua fell face down to the ground in reverence and asked him, "What message does the Lord have for his servant?" okay, or Lord, or instead of my Lord, just Lord, have for his servants. The commander of the Lord's army replied, take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy. And Joshua did so. Ooh. So the commander of the army of the Lord has now showed up. So to this minister's mind, that is, okay, so Michael has reported for duty. So it is game on. But if you want to find out what happens, you're going to have to watch the next video, friends. Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name's Amy. I'm an ordained minister, and we're in Bible study. We're in the Niv. We are in Joshua chapter 6. And where we left off in chapter 5, the commander of the Lord's army, so to me, Michael, the Archangel Michael, has shown up for duty. And he told Joshua to take off his sandals, because the land he's standing on is holy. Now Jericho was tightly shut up because of the Israelites. No one went out and no one came in. So, before we go any further, this just as a reminder, the area surrounding the Dead Sea is really basically giant mountains of salt. That's why nothing can live there. That's why it's the salt sea. That's why, so there's pockets of natural gas. So now we're back to that. They could have the explosions of upward of, anything and make it spark. And then you'd have just burning of pockets of stuff. So again, with the commandment to take off the sandals. So, verse 2. Then the Lord said to Joshua, see, I have delivered Jericho into your hands, along with its king and its fighting men. March around the city once with all the armed men. Do this for 6 days. Have 7 priests carry trumpets of ram's horns in front of the ark. On the 7th day, march around the city 7 times, with the priests blowing the trumpets. When you hear them sound a long blast on the trumpets, have the people give a loud shout. Then the wall of the city will collapse, and the people will go up, every man straight in. Okay. So Joshua, son of Nun, called the priests and said to them, take the ark of the covenant of the Lord and have 7 priests carry trumpets in front of it. And he ordered the people, advance, march around the city with the armed guard going ahead of the ark of the covenant. When Joshua had spoken to the people, the 7 priests carrying the 7 trumpets before the Lord went forward, blowing their trumpets, and the ark of the Lord's covenant followed them. The armed guards marched ahead of the priests, who blew the trumpets, and the rear guard followed the ark. At this time, the trumpets were sounding. But Joshua had commanded the people, do not give a war cry. Do not raise your voices. Do not say a word until the day I tell you to shout. Then shout. So he had the ark of the Lord carried around the city, circling at once, and then returning it to camp, and spent the night there. Joshua got up early the next morning, and the priests took the Ark of the Covenant, and 7 priests carrying the 7 trumpets went around, marching before the Ark of the Lord, blowing the trumpets. The armed men went behind them, and the rear guard followed the Ark of the Lord while the trumpets kept sounding. So on the second day, they marched around the city once and returned to camp. They did this for 6 days. On the seventh day, they got up on that day. They got up at daybreak. And marched around the city 7 times in the same manner, except on that day they circled the city 7 times. On the 7th time around, the priest sounded a trumpet blast. Joshua commanded the people, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city. The city and all that is in it are to be devoted." I see. That's the irrevocably given over to the Lord, usually by totally destroying the burnt offering. The city and all that is in it are to be devoted to the Lord. Only Rahab, the prostitute or innkeeper, because I don't know if they want to be insulting or not, and all who are with her in her house shall be spared, because she hid the spies we sent. But keep away from the devoted things, so that you will not bring about your own destruction by taking any of them. Otherwise, you will make the camp of Israel liable to destruction and bring trouble on it. All the silver and gold and articles of bronze and iron that are sacred, are sacred to the Lord, and must go into his treasury. When the trumpet sounded, the people shouted, and at the sound of the trumpet, when the people gave a loud shout, the wall collapsed, so that every man charged straight in, and they took the city. They devoted the city to the Lord and destroyed it with sword, every living thing in it, men and women, young and old, cattle, sheep, and donkeys. Joshua said to the 2 men who had spied out the land, "Go to the prostitute's house and bring her out, and all who belong to her, in accordance with your oath to her." So the young men who had done the spying went in and brought out Rahab, her family, and her mother and father and mother and brothers, and all who belonged to her. They brought out her entire family and put them in a place outside of the camp of Israel. They burned the whole city and everything in it, and they put the silver, gold, and articles of bronze and iron into the treasury of the house lords. But Joshua spared Rahab the prostitute and her family and all who belonged to her, because she had hid the men Joshua had sent as spies to Jericho, and she lives among the Israelites to this day. Well, probably not to this day, because probably to this day not alive anymore. At that time, Joshua pronounced this solemn oath: "Cursed before the Lord is the man who undertakes to rebuild this city, Jericho. At the cost of his firstborn son will he lay the foundations. At the cost of his youngest will he set up its gates." So the Lord was with Joshua, and his fame spread throughout the land. So now people were afraid of Joshua the way they used to be afraid of Moses. So, until the next video, friends. Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. We are in Bible study. We are in the NIV. We'll be in the NIV through next year, and in 2026 we'll jump into the KJV. The Proverbs, is essentially what they are. The Proverbs that are, because a parable is a moral lesson, and that's what the Proverbs are. Think of them as quick. I do Cliff Notes with it. It's on the Facebook page, and I do that with the KJV right now. Next year it'll be the NIV, but it's just, quick things to remember is what Proverbs really kind of are. Whereas for Psalms or poems or songs. So we'll be recording the Old Testament and the Psalms on the channel for next year. But for this year, we are doing just the New Testament, which we will have all of the videos for the New Testament up there before December 31st, 2024, because that's the goal. All right, so right now we are in the book of Luke. We are in chapter 18. We are doing verses 1 through 8. So let's jump into that. The parable of the persistent widow. This is interesting. Then Jesus told his disciples a parable to show them that they should always pray and not give up. Okay. He said, it is in a certain town, there was a judge who neither feared God nor cared about men. And there was a widow in that town who kept coming to him with a plea, grant me justice against my adversary. For some time he refused, but finally he said to himself, even though I don't fear God or care about men, yet because this widow keeps bothering me, I will see to it that she gets justice, so that she won't eventually wear me out with her coming. Like, I'm getting annoyed. It's going to be easier for me to just give her what she wants, so that I don't have to hear her anymore. And I understand that, because I've absolutely gotten things that way, and also helped people or given people things because of that. And the Lord said, listen to what the unjust judge says. And will not God bring about justice for his chosen ones who cry out to him day and night? So even if this person who has no other motivation is willing to give you what you need, and they don't give a crap about you, they just want you to go away because you're annoying, and God loves you, how much more do you mean to God? Will he keep putting them off? Will God keep putting you off if you keep crying out? I tell you, he will see that they get justice, and quickly. However, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on the earth? So when he comes again, are you going to still be standing in your faith to Jesus or not? Will you? I sure hope I am. I'm going to keep making good choices. I'm going to keep choosing him every day to try to make sure that I'm on that narrow path. I hope you will too. Hello, friends. Welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name's Amy, and I'm an ordained minister. We are in Bible study. We are in the Nev, and we are in Psalms, Book 3, Psalm 81. It is for the director of music, according to Giddith. And I think this is probably a musical term, of Asaph. Sing for joy to God our strength. Shout aloud to the God of Jacob. Begin the music, strike the tambourine, play the melodious harp and lyre. Sound the ram's horn at the new moon, and when the moon is full on the day of our feast. This is a decree for Israel, an ordinance of the God of Jacob. He established it as a statute for Joseph when he went out against Egypt, where he heard a language we did not understand. Where we heard a language we did not understand. And we heard a voice, and we had not known that we had not known. He says, I have removed the burden from their shoulders. Their hands were set free from the basket. In your distress you called, and I rescued you. I answered you out of a thundercloud. I tested you at the waters of Meribah. Selah. Hear, O my people, and I will warn you. If you would but listen to me, O Israel, you shall have no foreign god among you. You shall not bow down to any alien god. I am the Lord your God, who brought you up out of Egypt. Open wide your mouth, and I will fill it. But my people would not listen to me. Israel would not submit to me. So I gave them over to their stubborn hearts to follow their own devices. If my people would but listen to me, if Israel would follow my ways, how quickly would I subdue their enemies and turn my hand against their foes. Those who hate the Lord would cringe before him, and their punishment would last forever. But you would be fed with the finest of wheat, with honey from the rock. I would satisfy you. It's quite a promise.